Hi, I am Annie Delaney, and I will be your guide today as we go through the Rayz Kidz 101 training, where you will learn all about the essential functions of the app in a really short period of time. We'll go through at a high level and show you everything you need to know so you can get started utilizing the app confidently. So we will kick us off. I'll share my screen, and will show you right here on the screen all the different pieces that we will go through. So there's a lot of different things that we could go more in depth for, but we'll again stay very high level with each of these. We'll go through on the left side of the screen that one of the essential pieces is just getting set up. So we'll make sure that you are able to sign into the app, that you can add a family, add a child, invite the parents, and then add a group so that you can then invite employees if you have any. It's also helpful for managing your schedule if you would like to utilize the scheduled events function. Secondly, we'll go through communication. So your key communication areas that you'll likely use every day are to add an event, add a photo, and send a chat message. Then we'll talk through the activities, where we'll show you how at a high level to explore the activities, how to find the right ones that are for you, and to filter them to more efficiently identify those. And then from a program management perspective, we'll go through the attendance feature, how you would add a scheduled event. The employee time tracking feature, we'll give you a quick preview of that, as well as a preview of the billing feature. That one does require a lot more in-depth review of what the specifics of the feature are, including fees, processing times that we want to make sure that everyone really understands as they go in, as well as more detailed steps about how to set up your accounts and make sure that you can manage the invoices. But we'll show you a high level of that, and you can always dive into the details at a future time. So for the first part where we'll go through the setup is to sign into the app. So hopefully you've been able to do this. If not, we'll go through the two sort of ways in which you would do so. So for no matter who it is, the first step is to download the app. So you can go to the App Store or Google Play. You can search for Rayz Kidz, Rayzkidz, and there you'll see the app available for download. Download that to your phone, you open it up, and there you will put in your email address as in the first welcome screen. You can also select your language there as well. And then, depending if we have partnered with an organization that you are a part of, we may have already set up an account for you if you had signed up for it and the timing worked where we had set that up for you in advance of you logging in. If so, you're going to go down this path. But for people who don't, where the email isn't recognized, it means we haven't set up an account for you, at least not with that email address. And so you can go through the steps to get started by setting up a profile. So you'll enter your first name, your last name, your email address is already logged. You'll create a password with these conditions underneath it, and then press next. At that point, you'll see a screen that says that you need to verify your email. The next screen on your phone will look like this. It says verify your email. You'll jump into your email, and here you'll see what the email looks like. All you have to do is press verify my email, that button right there. That will then come up with a confirmation screen. You open back up the app, press the button to continue, and you can get right in. And this is the first screen you should see. If we have set up an account for you and it recognizes that, it will trigger a email that will go to you that will have um, a code in it that we need you to then copy and paste into the app. We've already set up your first name, last name, so that's why you get to skip that step and instead just skip right to the security code step, grab that security code from your email, paste it back into the app here, and then press sign in. And then you will be prompted to set a password that you'll use for signing in from there on out. And then you would see the same screen where you will get started from there. So that's the setup, the sign-in process. Once you are in the app, again, this is what your screen will look like. You're going to start, if you are a childcare provider, you're going to start on the left side where if you want to utilize it for communication, you will start with adding a child. Really, the first step is actually adding a family, so it will prompt you to do so when you press add a child. You'll either have to select a family or create a new one. And if you're just starting out, you'll need to set to create a new family. But that is the button that you'll press. The other way to get to that same screen to add a family profile is if you go to the menu bar in the top left corner of the app, you can see it's these three lines in the top left corner. That will expand and you'll press family profiles. From there, you'll see an option to add a new family. Once you've added families, they'll all be listed here, but yours you won't see any just yet. So you can add a new family this way, and all you have to do is enter their last name, and then you press add family, and then they've been added. Then it will bring you into the next step where you're in that family profile and you will add a child. So we'll move on to the next step here. So once you're in that family's profile, you'll see a few different pieces here. You can see an edit button up at the top if you need to change that last name. You'll see a family invitation code, which we'll get to in a minute, but it's here for easy reference. The next piece that we'll go to here is where it says children, and there's a button that says add child. So here's where you're going to press that button, and it's going to pull up a screen that shows that you're in the Johnson family. That's grayed out. And then you'll enter that child's first name. That's the only required piece of information for adding a child. But we do highly recommend including that child's birth date as well as a profile photo. The birth date will come in handy as we continue to add more features that will utilize that child's birth date for better tracking and better access of information for you. So we recommend that, but if you don't have it on hand as you are creating that child's profile, you can always go into that child's profile to edit it and then add that birth date at a later date. So the profile photo, it will come up with an area where you can, again, optionally add it. We suggest adding one because it looks really nice on the home screen, which you'll see in a minute when it's all populated. Then you'll press add child, and then that child will be added to the Johnson family's account. We'll next get into the process of inviting an adult, so whether it's another caregiver or a parent to the account. So that would be if you press the plus invite button. So again, there's a couple ways you can get to the invite screen. So we were just in the family profiles. Once you've added your families, you'll see them listed here. You can press on any individual one, and then you can get to that adult button, which will then get you to this screen where you're inviting another adult to the account. The other way to do it is there's an invite button that is right on the menu bar as well, and it will bring you straight to this screen once you select the family. Either way works. So there's a few different options of the way in which you would invite a parent to the account, but what it is getting them is a message that says, I'm inviting you to, for instance, here it's an example message. I'm inviting you to the Johnson family account on Rayz Kidz to share photos and updates. Download the app at the link below and apply this code during registration. And then it lists out their family code, which was what you saw at the top of the family profile screen for the Johnson family on the last screen. And then here's the link to download it. So the most important part of this, besides just informing parents of what you're doing, is getting them this unique code. This is a family code that every person that you would like to be on that family needs in order to access it. So there's a few different ways you can get that to them. You can press find contacts, which will then link to the contacts in your phone. And there you can select anyone who you have saved in your phone, and you can press apply and it sends this message. You could also press the share link button. That brings up all the common ways in which you have shared something recently. So whether it's WhatsApp, SMS messaging, email, there's various ways, and that might be easier to work with. Either way, as long as you get that text message out to them or that message, because it could be via email, that's what matters. You can also just copy out that family code. If that family's right there with you and they say, I didn't get that message, you can just copy it out, paste it to them. All they need to do is copy and paste that into the app. So when a parent comes in, what they're going to do is if we go back to the home screen where there wasn't anything populated yet, they're going to copy and paste that family code right in this box here, press apply, and that will unlock their access to the family and the child that you have set up for them. And if there are multiple children, you're just going to add multiple children underneath. So it will allow for siblings and then just one invite for those parents who are assigned to that family. So the next step is an optional one, but one that we do recommend is to add a group. So a group is a way of grouping children and a caregiver together for purposes of easy access to add and remove an uh, employee's access to children within the app. So if an employee comes in, you can easily then just enter their email address. They can have access to all these children that are in this group that you have set up. Otherwise, you'd add them to every individual family. And then if that employee leaves, you would have had to remove them from every individual family. But with a group, you're just associating that group of children and saying, I want to give this caregiver access to all of these children. And then you can easily remove that if that employee was to move on from your program. The other area where this is really helpful is if you're adding scheduled events. If you're adding your close dates for the year, holidays that you have, vacations, any sort of special events, and that's applicable for all the children throughout the year. If you have a rotating set of children where some are coming in later in the year or some are leaving, you want it to be a dynamic group. So this is a schedule that works for all of those kids that are coming in and out of it that you are then assigning to the group. So it's an easier way to manage that as well. So that's the benefits of adding it. Really simple to do so. Again, you go back to that menu bar. Groups is one of the options. You would press add a new group. And then inside of there, you would enter the group's name. So we recommend something like your program's name. So Little Tots Family Childcare, Blooms and Flowers Childcare, whatever it is. Enter that as your group name, press add group. The next screen that it will take you to is where you can then select the children and the caregivers to assign to that group. So when you press children, it will bring up all of the children that you have set up as available to select from. So you can select whoever you think is appropriate to be in that group, and then you would assign the caregivers. We've generally found for most family childcare providers that we're working with, one group is generally sufficient. They're not distinct enough infant rooms and preschool rooms where you would have two different caregivers who are only responsible for those children or have completely different schedules. The time that it might be helpful is something like if you have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday group and a Tuesday, Thursday group, and their schedules might vary. You may have a different employee during those times. You could set up two groups for the different, whether it's, Little Tots 1 and Little Tots 2, something like that. And then the caregivers, if you press that button, it will bring up a screen where you can then add a caregiver. You're going to invite them with their email address. And putting their email address in here will then trigger a text message, or sorry, an email to go out to them that says you've been invited to Rayz Kidz to be a part of the Little Tots Family Childcare Group. Log on to the app to accept this invitation. As soon as they log into the app, which they would do just with the steps that we reviewed first thing in our time together, they would log in, use that email address that you used here for them, and it will automatically apply them to that group, and they will see all those children that you have tagged within this group that they should see. Any pending invitations will show here, and then once they have accepted it, they will show as a caregiver, just similar to the way that this one shows here. You can also you can remove that invitation in this way, and then you can also press on them to manage that access at a different point. So that's the key setup steps. So we're through that, and now we can go ahead and start communicating, which is really the fun part. So the first thing we'll go through is how to add an event. So there's a lot of different types of events that you can add. They're going to be appropriate for certain types of children, maybe certain ages, maybe some parent preferences, or maybe preferences for you about what you want to communicate to them. Whatever it is that makes the parents happy as well as saves you time by streamlining this for you, that's what we recommend. This also is a great record keeping way of making sure that you know what's happened and you have an easy access to it via the app. So the different types of events you can add, sleep. So here you can log when a child starts sleeping, when they stop sleeping, you can go back and record it from earlier. The parents can also log how the child slept at night, so you understand what sort of mood they might be in the next day. So sleep is just for like overnight or naps. Meals would be breakfast, lunch, dinner. You can note what they ate, how much they ate, and that's a way for parents to know to stay in the loop. It's also a really great way of you to be able to track that for tax purposes for your deductions at the end of the year, as you get to deduct, if you're using the standard deduction, you would get to deduct a certain amount for the meals that you're serving for each child. And so at the end of the year, you can then see a report that says how much each child had, how many snacks were served, how many lunches, dinners, whatever it is. And at the same time, you're keeping parents in the loop, so it's a win-win. The next piece you can add is a bottle. So here you can say that ounces served, ounces taken, whether it was milk, formula, breast milk, and be able to keep track of it that way. Especially parents of infants are really curious about this. So it's a nice way of alerting them to how much they maybe actually ate. And then diapers is pretty self-explanatory, but a helpful thing to track and for you to keep organized. It also helps you then remember the last time that you changed that baby's diaper so that you can plan the next time that you would need to change them again. Bathroom um, is great for many needs, but we find that providers really love it for those potty training kids because it helps keep track and make sure parents know who are especially worried about how their child is doing with that. So you can log what type of bathroom visit, but also if they've had an accident or if they tried, it helps you keep track and then keeps them in the know as well. Nursing may seem a little bit funny to have on this list, but what it really is for the two-way communication that we highly encourage parents and caregivers are interacting with here. And the reason nursing is one of them is if the parent is logging what the child has done before they arrive at your program, then nursing could be one of the ways that the baby was fed. We highly recommend that you work with the parents to set the expectation that they are also recording what the child has done so that you can take over properly. So you're not asking them at the door, when was the baby last changed? When was the last diaper change? When did they last eat? How did they sleep last night? When should they take a nap? All of that can be handled through them just quickly logging that before they arrive at your door, avoid some of the chaos of drop off of so many children being there at one time and you having to remember all of it. So that two-way communication really helps because you're also giving that back to them when they go to pick up their baby. A custom event is something that doesn't fall into any of these categories. We recommend this for documenting sort of the events of the day that you're doing. So besides the basic care information, sort of like the activities that you're doing. So whether it's a formal activity, like a painting activity that you're doing, or a scavenger hunt, or some sort of movement activity, whatever it may be, that could be documented, but also something as informal as what you read for story time or that you went on a neighborhood walk today, something that helps the parents understand the contents of your day. All this field is a open text box, and then in there you can describe it, and then you can also attach a photo if you would like. That photo then goes to the photo and video gallery, but it also posts on the child's profile that sort of shows the chronological events of the day. And then an observation is a specific skill that you are observing that child has exhibited. And so we've pre-populated our domains and skills to make this really easy for you to be able to do it on the fly, have a record of it for parents for when you're doing parent-teacher conferences or when you're doing more formal assessments. You have that as a record there to remember, oh yeah, I did see the child exhibit these skills. An incident is pretty self-explanatory. It doesn't replace the incident paperwork that you need to fill out, but it is a nice way to be able to keep record of when the incident happened, inform the parents of it, have it noted as part of their history of events, as well as the ability to add a photo, which is nice that you can't do in a paperwork form. And then medicine is just an open text box for you to say what type of medicine had been administered. So those are all the different types of events. I'll jump into the app now to show you what it looks like in there, but here's a quick snapshot where you're selecting the type of event, you're selecting the child or children that you would like to tag in that event, and then the information about it. So I'll switch my screen and I'll show you what it looks like in the app. So here you can see this is all the children are listed up at the top. The ones that have profile photos are shown like this, and then the ones who don't are shown with a blue circle with their first initial. Either way works, but we just think the profile photos look nice. Here you can see we're selected on Ben's profile, so we have the check mark here that indicates that we are on Ben's profile. To change that, all we do is click on that child's profile photo or circle there, and we can see what the next child is. So here we can add an event for Ben. So we can record that he had a bathroom visit. It automatically defaults to the current date and time. So we would just go ahead and adjust that. And we can see that he's potty training. He tried at that time and then submit that. And it will show here as the events of the day. So that was really quick to show you. I'm going to go back in and show you. We're just pressing this add new button here. You can also press add event up at the top. Either way gets you to the same screen. So we're going to press add new. We'll see all the different types of events that can be added. Ben was automatically selected because we were on his profile, but we can adjust that. So we can deselect him. We can select other children. We can select multiple children. And you can see here, whoever has this check mark and is above the line is included in the event. It's going to create a new record for each of them as we log this event. And so what we're going to do is say, we'll record for a meal, and they all had the same lunch that we served them. So we'll go ahead and record that at 12 o'clock today. They were served, let's say, chicken, rice, and beans. You could select how much they ate, or you could leave it there as the default, press submit, and here you'll see it will list it chronologically for all the events of his day. And as you can see here, we list only the events from today because we also show sort of quick action things that parents would be interested in. So other photos, upcoming scheduled events. We want this to be a snapshot of everything that they need to know. And so what we do is we put the days prior events within their profile. So if you press see profile, which is right across from their name in that blue bar that goes across, press see profile, you'll see all the events that have been logged for that child previously. And you can also filter by those if you're quickly looking for a certain type of event. So I'm going to go back to Ben's screen, and now you can see that lunch was actually logged on each of the children's profiles who we had selected. So they're each shown there as their own event. And so those parents would be notified that their child had eaten lunch, and here is what they were served. Next up, we'll show you how to add a photo. So a photo or a video. And you can get to this a couple different ways. One is a quick action button on the home screen, but a trusty way of making sure you always know this is just to go to the Photos tab. The Photos tab, if you're at the bottom navigation bar, is right in the middle. We made it really accessible by parents because it's a parent favorite feature. So you press that button Photos, and it brings up that photo and video gallery that shows in chronological order all of the snapshots of your child's day, those wonderful memories, cute photos, whatever it is that that provider has shared. That's what parents can look forward to seeing and hear. Parents are only seeing the pictures that their child has been tagged in, not ones that are tagged just for other children. So that's why we tag children on each one so that only those parents can see that photo. And so you'll see here, it's just a repository of them, but it really looks like your own private social media. So it has sort of an Instagram type feel where you can like it, you can comment on it, and you'll see if when you click on a photo, you can actually have the parents download it as well if they would like. But they can have access to it at any point in time within here, and they can keep access to it after they leave your program as well. To do so, to record a photo, to add a photo, you would press the plus button up in the top right corner, and it's going to bring up a screen for you to be able to select the media. So you can select a photo or a video or multiple. You can select up to 10 at a time. And just make sure that it's whoever you want to tag in that photo is being added at that time because you'll tag the child as part of this process. And then it will bring up a screen for you to select which one or more children who are tagged in it. Once you added a photo, it will bring up that option for a dropdown. You can add an optional caption if you'd like. You press submit and it posts right here. So I'll jump back into the app so I can show you how to do that. Okay, so here we are in the app, and you can see we're going to just navigate to that middle button there from the bottom navigation bar that says Photos, which will bring up that photo and video gallery, and you can see all the photos that have been added in the past. We'll go ahead to the top right corner and we'll press plus to add a photo or a video. We'll choose the media, and you have the option of either taking a photo right from your phone, which will bypass your phone storage, or to choose from the gallery and for any pictures that you've already taken. So we'll press choose from gallery, and we'll go right over here and select this photo. We'll add that. There's two children there, so we'll go ahead and tag both Ben and Maya in that photo. We'll add an optional caption that says, let's see, they were doing our little entomologist activity, found lots of bugs, and we'll submit that. You can see that it shows the progress of the photo being added. And then down here, we'll see that photo has been added here. We'll press on it and you can see that you can see the photo, the caption. Here, you or the parents could like it. You can expand that photo by pressing that four arrows. Um, we'll go back. You can also download it with this button and you can edit it right in the top right corner. So that is how to add a photo. And if you're curious about the order of them, they're all in chronological order from most recent to least recent. This was a stock photo that was just taken earlier. So that's why it's based on the date of that photo. So that's why it will fall down below. So in case you ever miss a photo you've added, it could be because it's just chronologically listed. And now we've gone through how to add a photo, how to add an event. Now we'll go through how to send a chat message. This works very similar to the SMS text messages on your phone, but it just separates it so that it's not utilizing your phone, it's utilizing the app as a more professional image that you are giving to the parents, as well as a little separation between work and home. And so here, this is what the screen looks like if you're navigating to the chat feature. So on the bottom navigation bar, the far right is the chat. And that will pull up all of your chat messages that you have had, and also gives you the ability to create a new message. So to add a new message, you're going to press the plus button in the top right corner. That will then pull up the opportunity for you to select who to send it to. So the plus button will then give you that selection option. So any parents who have accepted an invitation to the app, so that means that they have gone through, applied that family code, they're now listed as part of that family, will show up here for you to be able to send a message to. You can send a one-on-one message, you can send a group message. What you're going to do here is just select who you want to be shown in that to part, and whether it's one or more. And you can deselect them too if you want to edit it, but then you'll press cancel to get out of the selection mode, and then they'll all be populated there. Write your message, press send, just like you would do a regular text message, and it's going to show there for them. It will generate a notification to them, a push notification if they have those selected as turned on, and they'll be able to see it when they log into the app. Next up, we will review how to um, find the activities that would be most of interest to you and what you think would work best in your program, how to navigate the activities, and how to make the most of them. So I'll actually jump into the app because I think it's actually easier to show you live all the different sections and to be able to scroll through it. So here we had been in the Photos tab. Now we will go over to the left of that from the bottom menu bar and go to the Activities. Here is your Activities main screen. It gives you a few different options to pick from. So this lists out all of the over 500 activities that we have on the app. You can see here listed up at the top are what has been favorited. So this is an individual characteristic. So just the ones that we've favorited have been up here, and yours would show up individually for you. The way that you would see them is you press on that, and you can see right here on the right side under the photos is where you can press the favorite button, and then it will save for you up at the top for quick access. So your favorites will show up at the top. The featured activities are ones that we actually populate for you. These are ones that are really seasonally appropriate, things that we think that this time of the year you'll really like. For instance, in the summer, these ones are focused on camping and barbecue. We'll swap these out every few weeks to keep you inspired and to be able to spark some of that creativity of things that might want to go into your program. So those are just our ideas, and then all of them can be found down below. So now the rest of them are categorized by the type of activity that it is. So art, you can see everything's on a horizontal scroll, so don't miss that part. They're all listed here, and we have sensory, pretend play, movement, STEM, some food, some like recipes and things that you can do with the kids and baking. Games, these are really great to do with a mixed age group, especially having those older kids involved with them too, but it can be adaptable for any age groups that you have. Basic recipes, things that we reference often in other activities or could be activities on their own. Some baby play ideas. So these are some interactions between you and the baby, great for you as a caregiver, as well as great for the parents. And then some outdoor activities. These are things that might be of interest to you based on what if it's a nice day and you want to go outside. Really, these are ones that so many of our activities we encourage to be done outside, but these are ones that should be done outside based on the nature of the activity. So that's how you would scroll through all of these. If you were to click on any individual one, you could see here, you can press on our campfire pretend play activity. You can see our carousel photo showing you a setup so that you can understand how you would go about doing that activity. And that in and of itself ends up saving you time. We also give a quick description of it as well as quick directions. The description gives a little more context, especially if you're doing it as part of an overall theme of some content learning that can be brought into the activity as part of that theme. The directions are meant to give you those quick few steps that you would need to follow for it, and are again our suggestions for how you would do the activity. We also give some tips, some materials notes if needed. We always list out the materials, and you can see here if it was something that you could purchase, we'd have a purchase link to the side of it, and that gives you quick access to an Amazon link for something that is reasonable price, can get there quickly, and it's the right type of item for this activity. But here you can see it's a very natural activity. You don't really need very much. Down here is the Learning Through Play guide, which is really the one of the best parts of this because it is both giving you the definition and the comfort of knowing what that uh, activity is actually doing for the children. What skills is it building? How is it really helping to support their development? But then it also gives you right underneath it some description of what you could do as a facilitator to bring out the most of it. So it might just be describing how it's naturally building a type of support for a child on its own, or it could be that it would help if the facilitator prompted some questions and did a specific setup that could bring out more. So these are all really great opportunities for development. It doesn't mean that that's exactly the way that you would facilitate this activity, but if anything, you look at it as another person's perspective of the way that you could approach this, and there might be some things that you would take from that, and or a spark of inspiration that you would get from it. So we want this to be useful for you and a way to be able to bring out the most of that learning as well as have a way to be able to communicate to parents all the learning and development that's happening through play. So you can see that we have our domain listed here and then the skill related to that domain. We even have definitions if you press on that I, which gives a definition of what gross motor looks like for in early childhood. We always highlight 3 different skills and domains. One of them is always school readiness. So for instance, this one, we've highlighted the math skill of counting is a good opportunity for something that you could bring in, which might happen naturally on its own, but really could be helped by some additional facilitator engagement to help bring out a little bit more of that. So that's how you would navigate within an activity. They're all set up the same, so it's really uniform. You know where to go for what you're looking for. And again, you can scroll through all of these, you can favorite them. One other way that people like to find activities is either in the search bar or in the filter button up in the top right corner. Here you can then sort of filter by category, but most people like to filter by theme. And so you can see we have tons of themes here. All you would do, so say you want to be looking at a study on recycling. You have a whole month dedicated to recycling. We have lots of different recycling activities, and then we have sort of a sub theme with it if you wanted to really focus in 1 week on each. But you can customize your schedule for whatever works best for you. So let's look at all the recycling activities. You can see here, this has now narrowed them down. So you're just looking at those recycling ones, and you can look through and figure out which ones look like they would be of most interest and ones you would want to introduce in your programs. If you want to get rid of that filter, you just press on the filter again, press clear all, show the results, and you can see them all again. So we've gone through the setup, the communication, the activities. Now we'll move on to program management. So these are tools that are helping your efficiency, helping you to manage all the multiple pieces that you have to manage for documentation. In addition to the communication with parents, this is meant to make your life easier. So for a program management perspective, we'll go through attendance, adding a scheduled event, employee time tracking, as well as a preview of the billing function. So the first is attendance. So this would be to record a check-in or check-out for a child. Who can do this? You can do it. The parents can do it. It's up to you how you would like to instruct them to do it. So anyone has the capability, if you are associated with that child, if you've been added to that family, you have the capability to check in and check out. So it's up to you to tell them, the parents, how you would like that to be done, whether that's you or whether that's only by them. In terms of how you actually do the check in and check out, so if you're in the home tab of the app, one of the quick action buttons in the top left corner is the check in and out. That will pull up a screen that looks like this that allows you to record the time in and time out. Another way of getting to that same screen is if you go to the menu bar in the top left corner and then you go to the attendance. So you can click on that and that will bring up all of the attendance records that are either in process or have already happened. And you can press the button add a record, which will then get you to that same screen that the quick action button from the home screen got you to. And what you'll do there is you'll select the child or children. You can select multiple. So say siblings come in together, you can check them both in at the same time. And it will automatically default to the current date and time, which you can then adjust. So if they're actually checked in 20 minutes before it's being recorded, you can go ahead and press that drop down button to select the time. You can also process the checkout at the same time. So if, say, for instance, you are recording this later in the day, you forgot to create that record, or you had a different means of doing it and you need to record it here, you can just toggle the checkout and it will populate with a time selection box where you can also record the checkout time. So that's optional, but you could do it. And so we figure most people are probably doing this, but they're just checking in. And so you press the check in out button and that will start that attendance record for them, calculating from that check-in time. It will then populate onto that child's screen and it will show that they are currently checked in and you can press a button to stop that check-in. So I'll go into the app to show you that. So here we were on the activities tab. We're going to navigate back to the home tab. You can see the quick action button that I mentioned before is right up here in the left corner, or we can get there through the menu bar and go to attendance. So let's say we are checking in Maddie. And so we'll select Maddie's profile. We'll press the check in and out button. Maddie's selected, but we could also select other children as well or swap out Maddie. It's just a quick way of getting there. And we will go ahead and select that she was in at 8:40 this morning. And we will press that. We could toggle the checkout, but we'll just check her in right now. So check in. And so you can see Maddie is recorded as having started to be in attendance as of 8:40 this morning. Well, we can actually see her checked in with a little bar indicating it here on her profile. So anytime we're looking at it, we can see right there that she is currently checked in. We can press that stop button here to end that record, or you can go back to the attendance screen and press the checkout button here. Both have the same effect. You press that checkout button and then it records the current time as your checkout time. If you say, for instance, that that wasn't the exact accurate time that she left, you can press on that record. It will bring up the ability to edit it. So you can see right now what it shows, but you can edit it. And then you can record that she actually left at, let's say, 6:30. Save those changes and you can see here. You can then generate a report that will show all of the check-in and out times for a specified period for a certain child. By creating a report, you would select the child that you would like to make the report for, the start and end dates, download the report, and you'll be able to get that printed out or save it for your records. So here shows you just the steps to create that report. And then here is what the actual report will look like. So it says the date, day of the week, the check-in, who signed them in, checked out, and who signed them out. The next one to go through is how to add a scheduled event. So the scheduled event function is really great for making sure parents have quick access to the information they need that would impact them and their child. So this is what if you're closed for certain holidays, if you have any vacations coming up, any sort of family events that you have, any field trips that they should be aware of, and things like that that you probably have communicated out to them at the beginning of the year in a beautiful PDF, but often find yourself having to remind parents about these things. And it might still be some reminders necessary, but at least you're giving them really quick access from their phone and from their app in a way that they're used to being able to communicate, that they don't have to go and dig up an email. It's right there in real time to be able to see anything that's important for them to know. So the way in which you would add a scheduled event is you are, again, from the home tab, you're going to go on the bottom menu bar to schedule, and it will bring up any scheduled events that you have scheduled, but you will start by just adding an event. If you press the Add Event button, you'll then be prompted to select whether this is for a group or children. So if you go back to what we had talked about with one of the reasons it's great to set up a group, is this can be a dynamic set of events that where the children can change out, but the events stay the same. So that's why we highly recommend setting up a group. And you would select which group or, or specific children this applies to, name the event, select the date, and then you can also select if it is a one-time event, whether it is a recurring event, and record that. So if you're on vacation for multiple days, you can select that as a repeating event weekly, and then you would mark off each of the days that week that you're gone, set this as the beginning time, and then there will pop up an end date that you can select. So that can be and you can also select it as an all-day event. That would be the same thing for a holiday. You could select an all-day event, but that would be a repeat once. So say you're off for July 4th, you would enter July 4th closed, and you could show that for the parents right there. This, for instance, is the summer festival that you're having. It's a party for the families, and you're going to have it on July 11th. It will repeat once, and it's from 9:30 to 10:30. It's right there at your program. You would press enter, and then you'll see that it is there listed as the um, Friday Summer Festival. Next up is the employee time tracking. So the employee time tracking is one that will functions very similar to the attendance feature for children, but this one would be for employees tracking when they are in and out, so what we call clock in or out. And so you get to there the same way that you would get to the attendance feature, which is from that menu bar. There's a tab called Caregiver Time. On there, you can add a record, and that will start a record for you. You can clock in and out at the same time, or you can just clock in. You do have to select who to apply your time to. So if it's an employee who's associated with a group, I would assign it to that group. Otherwise, they would be assigned to a specific family. But there are some of you who work directly for one family, maybe multiple children, and so you could assign your time just to a specific family. I think most people are probably assigning their time to a group. You would select what day, and then again, clock in looks very similar to the attendance check-in. And then you can start the clock in or out, and then it will show that there's a record started right here. And then that person can press, very similarly to the checkout button, they will press the clock out button and also edit that record if necessary, because that wasn't pressed at the exact right time. And then here you're seeing all the records that have been recorded, and you can actually filter down to see if you need to pay for a specific period. You would then filter for that caregiver what beginning and end dates you're looking at, and see that cumulative time so that you can then pay out that amount. And that's through that filter button in the top right. Our last feature to go through is the billing. So billing is, we utilize Stripe as our payment processor. It's a way to be able to conveniently bill, track, and collect money from the parents. And this would be for anyone who it has a copay or a private pay client where you are invoicing the parent and getting and collecting money from them. So you have the ability to collect money through the app, or you can collect it separately and track it in the app. So it does require you to set up a Stripe account and go through some verification steps. These are important security steps to follow. So that will be your first step as you go into the billing feature, which can be found in the top left corner and then under billing. For the provider portal, which is where, as a business owner and the childcare provider, that's where you would be. So this shows you some account information now that we've set up our Stripe account. Again, some steps to walk through that we have another video for within the tutorials. You can go see a detailed tutorial of how to set up your your Stripe profile. But it will give you access to be able to edit your payout method, your Stripe dashboard that gives more information on reporting. And then here's where you actually create that next invoice. So you can create a new invoice, and then underneath it, you can see all of the past invoices, whether they have been closed, paid, if they're past due, or in open status. They'll all be listed down below. But to create a new invoice, you press the new invoice button. Here you can select the family that it applies to, the payor. So one of the parents who have accepted an invitation to the account, you would select one of them. You can also select the child who it applies to and the date that it is due. You would select the category of type of billing that this is for, put in a description. You can put in some optional service dates, the amount, as well as some notes. Press next. It will give you a preview of what that invoice will look like. And then it will actually email it to that the person, the payer who you've selected here. And then they'll have a link so that they can actually pay it online. And so they will go through the process of paying it. As soon as they pay it, you will see it be paid right here. Otherwise, it will be past due. Some other features that providers like is that it gives reminders. So if parents haven't paid, you can set customized reminders, whether it's, day of, the day it's due, the day after it's due, the week after it's due. You can set up to 3 payment reminders. And so parents really like that. You can also, or providers really like that. You can also customize their payment methods that you accept, and that does impact the fees that are be associated with it. So there are lower fees with ACH versus credit card. You can customize what those settings are. At the moment, you are not able to pass those fees along to the parents. So you would have to be communicating with them that your rates would be inclusive of those fees. And so you'd want to be aware of what fees you're setting. So please refer to our billing training or our billing FAQ that goes through all the details that you would need to know before you start utilizing the app for payment processing through Stripe, or start issuing invoices that you could track and collect payment manually. So that wraps up the core functions of the app that you would likely be utilizing most often. We hope that you utilize them every day, and we know that there's so much there for you to make your lives easier, to be able to enhance the learning in your program, to be able to make better connections with families, and to streamline things and save time for you. So if you have any questions, you know how to reach out to us. It's support@rayzkidz.com is our email. Our phone works for calling or text, so feel free to reach out to this number, 617-843-5892. We also have a chat on our help center if you prefer that way. And this is what the help center looks like. So our help center breaks down every one of these features in detail. And so you can go there if you need some more description and directions and you want to go at your own pace. Always reference those. There's also some good videos that show you what to do. We also have some more detailed tutorials of each area that I've just talked about that can also be found in the Help Center. So we hope this was helpful to you, and we're excited to hear how this helps you and your programs, and hope to see you at future sessions soon.